all of the leaders on the Zoom. And at this point, I would like to recognize my co-chair, Representative Wood, for any opening remarks.
Hey everyone, thanks for being patient with us. Look forward to having this discussion today. Welcome.
Thank you, Representative Wood. Senator Wong.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate the indulgence of the caucus, and very much looking forward to having a positive dialogue and moving this issue for many of the issues forward on this agenda. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator. Representative Pablo Demano.
I'd also like to thank everybody for being here, and looking forward to the next couple of weeks of our hearings and meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. At this point, I would like to move to item number 3 on the agenda, bills for review. I'd entertain a motion to JFS, the first item on the agenda, Senate Bill 842, to the Finance Committee. Is there a motion?
Motion.
So moved. Lucy Dathan, Rep. Dathan.
Second.
I'm sorry, who made, Representative Dathan made the motion. Who seconded?
Second, Kate, Representative Farrar.
I recognize motion to JFS Senate Bill 842 to Finance. Motion made by Representative Dathan, seconded by Representative Farrar. I will recognize myself for discussion first. So I want to thank the committee for their patience on what is the probably the biggest single bill this committee is looking at this year. One of the biggest bills the legislature is dealing at this year. And I think we're all mindful of the fact that not only are we in a healthcare crisis right now due to the global pandemic, but we're also in a health insurance crisis. Because as we've battled the pandemic, hundreds of thousands of people in this state and millions of people across the country have lost their employer-sponsored health insurance by losing their jobs at the worst possible moment. And many other businesses, small businesses in particular, are still just hanging on.
I'm getting double Matt's talking at the same time somebody else is talking. What do I do? The window?
Diane, you're not on mute.
Okay. We're having a little trouble with YouTube, but we got it. We're okay, Matt.
Okay, great. Dan, can you mute yourself and then we'll continue?
Okay.
Great, thank you. So many small businesses are hanging on by a thread, and this bill is a good faith attempt to try to address those issues, to make new affordable options available to nonprofits, to small businesses, and to Taft-Hartley labor unions to expand support for the Affordable Care Act, to make sure that we are bringing down premiums and down those sky-high deductibles on Access Health Connecticut, Connecticut's Affordable Care Act exchange, that we are making sure that immigrants have the right to purchase health insurance with their own money, and expanding Medicaid to help those folks who are caught in the gap between poverty and health insurance coverage. This bill attempts to do all of those things. It also makes sure that people who have insurance coverage have better coverage, saying that if, for example, you have health insurance on Access Health Connecticut, that preventative drugs like insulin are available to people before they pay $1 of the deductible. Now, we heard a lot of questions about the bill. We heard a lot of concerns. And over the last few weeks, we've had a lot of discussion about how to make this bill better, how to address those concerns. And we've heard them from industry, we've heard them from legislators, we've heard them from both chambers and from both sides of the aisle. And while the JFS language before you represents the work of a lot of compromise, I don't believe that means it's a weaker bill. I think it's a better bill. I can go through some of the elements in the S language before you, and happy to go through them to discuss some of the ways we've made this bill better. So one of the concerns we heard was that the comptroller under this plan would be able to cherry pick risk to decide who to cover and who not to cover. And that would create a different playing field than exists for the private market. We have solved that issue in this bill. We had concerns about risk to taxpayers if the comptroller were to underprice the product. And we have addressed this with a belt and suspenders approach. Under the initial bill, there was an option for the comptroller to purchase stop loss coverage or to establish risk corridors to protect the taxpayer. In this bill, we are requiring the comptroller to do both. We are bending over backwards to make sure that the taxpayers are protected from downside risk. And moreover, we're not just resting there. We're requiring the comptroller to hire an independent actuarial firm to develop, to set premiums, and to audit the plans and to report annually on what is in this plan, risk to the state, medical loss ratio, all of the data, the transparency that we would need as legislators to determine whether or not the plan is fiscally solvent, etc. So that is all in there as well. Understanding that we're in the middle of a health equity crisis. We are now in the first time on a major healthcare bill requiring standard data collection of health racial equity data for plans issued by the state comptroller, the Access Health, etc. We have a real good faith attempt to build a plan that works for the people of Connecticut to do what they are asking us to do on a bipartisan basis. The residents of Connecticut are demanding more affordable options for health insurance. There is one plan before the legislature that is designed to bring down the price of health insurance in the state, not just for individuals, but for small businesses, for nonprofits, across the board. This is the bill. I urge the members of the committee to support it as before you. And before I turn it over to other members, I know a lot of people are going to have a lot to say. I also want to acknowledge that there are two massive bills that are moving in parallel. And the other one is what's happening in Washington, D.C. Because on Friday of this week, we expect President Biden to sign into law the American Rescue Plan, which will be the first big change to the Affordable Care Act since its passage, which will make healthcare vastly more affordable to the residents of the state. Now, some would say that we're getting ahead of ourselves by trying to, or that these two bills are in competition, and I would dispute that vociferously. In fact, the two bills are very much complementary. And that bill doesn't address all of the things that this bill attempts to do. It does not address the ability of immigrants to purchase health insurance. It does not expand out Medicaid. It does not do anything specifically about the affordability of health insurance for small businesses or for nonprofits. It does help us working together address the cost of individual coverage on the exchange. But working together, we can do more. Looking back since passage of the Affordable Care Act, Massachusetts had state-based support for the exchange from day one, and we did not. And over the last decade, what's happened? Well, we've seen Massachusetts become one of the nation's leading hubs for entrepreneurship, business growth. And that's because they've solved the problem that we have of job lock, where people are stuck in a job that they want to leave simply because they can't afford to give up their health insurance. That should not be the reason why people stay in a job in Connecticut or anywhere else. And this bill helps address that issue. So I'm sure there will be questions about the language that's before you. I welcome them. And with that, I urge members to support the joint favorable substitute. Senator Juan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to extend my appreciation, gratitude to Representative Lucy Dathan for her interim role and being the messenger. I hope she recognizes my utmost respect for her. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Republicans and Democrats and our governor all agree that healthcare costs needs to be better managed. No doubt about it. The current rate of increases are absolutely unsustainable. And indeed, all interested parties have offered their solutions. The Republicans in Senate Bill 1006, which will have a public hearing after this vote, in collaborating with federal, state, and businesses, look to provide solutions on reinsurance, prescription drug costs, benchmarking, and an audit process for financial and operational transparency. We have the governor who proposed House Bill 6447, which we just had a public hearing on Tuesday, which I found incredibly informative and offered many different perspectives that made me think. And it used assessments or a tax for reinsurance. It looked at benchmarking as an extension of his current executive order. It looked at a very innovative but somewhat controversial cost containment on prescription drugs. And in our dialogue with the government, with the governor's office, there was a receptiveness to transparency and accountability. And now we have Controller Lembo and the Democratic Senate Bill 842, which we will vote on today. And it is an alternative vision, an alternative solution of a state management of health insurance to lower cost. We'll have that debate often. But what I am remiss is the fact that not one plan is perfect, but rather, should we not be working as a committee of cognizance on insurance issues? That shouldn't we work to create a bill that we can take pride in and not constantly say it's a work in progress? Should we not incorporate the best of ideas to craft a bill that we can all be proud of in moving forward to addressing the issue at hand that we all agree on? To say that I'm disappointed and deeply concerned about the rush vote on this committee on Senate Bill 842 is an understatement. You know, I do question the good chair's statement on good faith effort, because I'll be on record in saying that census substitute bill came out 2 hours before today's meeting, and me getting a copy as a ranking member late last night. I've had no discussion on substitute language. I've had no screening of this said bill. I've had no input whatsoever in regards to the promotion and the possible changes that are afoot in this bill. So I don't know what good faith means, and I don't know what bipartisan means, but I can tell you, on behalf of the Senate Republicans, we have not been involved. That being said, I apologize from my motion about this because, as I said, and I want to echo the chair's statement, this is the biggest single bill before us in this committee. And this rush to cast a vote without getting the best of all ideas and putting our stamp as a committee of cognizance to put forth as a document that says we approve, that we joint favorably approve this, is misleading. I got to tell you, we got a substitute bill here today, and we requested a recess, and I requested till 10 o'clock, and I appreciate the chair's indulgence on it. But to be honest with you, when we sat down as a caucus, we were looking to read the bill, all 58 pages of it. For us to have less than 2 hours to read substitute language of such a single policy of importance is a short-sighted rush to decision-making. Why are we not, as the proud committee of cognizance on insurance, look to present to the public the best possible product? But instead, we're choosing one better than the other two. The fact that we are voting on something without accepting ideas of the public hearings and input of other parties is a tremendous disservice to what we call transparency, to due process, and a representative government. So I will hold my judgment and listen to other people, but I have to believe that my frustration that you hear is not only reflected by Republican members of this committee, but perhaps even some committee members who in their comments may say, I don't like some parts of this bill, but I'm going to vote yes to push it forward. It's a disservice to our role as the role of cognizance on insurance, that we're pushing out an incomplete product that does not incorporate the best of all ideas to an important solution. So again, I thank you for the opportunity to voice my very, very deep concerns about this process. And I hope that people will see the idea and perhaps vote no so we can continue to work on this product moving forward. We can make a good product better, but we're choosing not to in a rush to judgment. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Wong. And if any disrespect was picked up by you or by a fellow ranking member, certainly none was intended on our part. And we received the substitute language. We shared it with you as quickly as possible, and certainly welcome the input from your members and from your side of the aisle. And if you have good ideas, I think a good idea has many authors, and so we welcome your input, and I'm sure we'll get some today. So thank you, Senator Wong.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I can follow up on that, I appreciate getting the substitute bill last night before the committee members, but as I repeated again, I've had no discussion, no screening, no input on how to make an important policy bill better. So I want to be on the record and make that clear. I think the other part that I want to make clear in this, Senator Lesser, and to the public that may be watching, we have another hearing on Senate Bill 1006. If we're truly genuine about putting the best product forward, then perhaps we should have waited till after the hearing to get all the ideas. And I will share with you the fact that I just received a letter or an email from the Teamsters Union raising significant concern about Senate Bill 842 with the Taft-Hartley affiliated organizations, is again, deep concerns in regards to why this rush to judgment. Are we looking to hide something, to push something through quickly? I hope not. But nevertheless, Senator Lesser, I do want to point out, when you talk about good faith, I raise the question to that from my own personal experience. And number two, I want to repeat again, this may be the single biggest bill before this committee. And for a committee of cognizance that should take great pride in the product that we push out, that we joint favorably give our seal of approval, if it continues to be a work in progress, why are we rushing to have a vote today? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Wong. And Representative Wood, I apologize. I did not see your hand up earlier, but I recognize you, Representative Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too received the language, the final language, very late. I asked for many changes in this bill, and I don't think that the language that is currently in the JFS goes far enough in providing the consumer protections and the protections to the state budget, quite frankly. And to follow up on Senator Wong's comments, I want to put something out that is a fiscally responsible approach, something that isn't hiding anything. And I think the best way to do that would be through a comprehensive audit and through a fully insured plan. So with that, pursuant to Rule 5C, I'm offering an amendment to substitute Senate Bill 842, requiring that any new or existing plan offered by the comptroller and intended to cover any multi-employer plan, nonprofit employer, or small employer shall be offered on a fully insured basis in compliance with Title 38A of the General Statutes. Additionally, the auditors of the public accounts shall audit the books and accounts of the state comptroller and any third-party administrator engaged by the state comptroller maintained for the partnership plan or plans or the state employee plan, and certify the results to the governor. I ask that the vote be taken by roll call.
I urge members to oppose the amendment.
Do we have a second?
I'd like to second the amendment.
Motion made by Representative Wood, second by Representative Masters.
Master. Yes.
Can you please identify yourself just for the, okay, great.
Apologize.
Sure. So a few questions to the proponent of the amendment. So I guess I can't go through anybody since I'm the chair. To the proponent of the amendment, if the amendment were adopted, would that prohibit any of the cost containment measures contained within the bill?
It would not.
So it's my understanding that one of the cost containment measures in the bill is pooling of lives to enhance negotiating power and manage risk. Is that prohibited by your amendment?
I would ask if the state comptroller was planning on pooling all of the risk or doing a separate plan. It is my understanding that this would not be offered under the same benefits and plans of the partnership plan, because that is a very expensive plan to offer. We're offering something that would be less expensive, and so that would be a separate plan created by the comptroller. And in order to do that, he can do that under a fully insured plan.
Actually, I have a question for LCO, actually. Do we have the text of the amendment?
I'm unsure. I can't answer that question.
Representative Wood, is this an oral amendment or a written amendment?
It is an oral amendment.
And I'm sorry, for the benefit of the committee, did LCO, did you get the text, the language of the oral amendment?
I did not, but Senator Lesser, as indicated in the top left-hand corner of our screens, it does indicate that the committee meeting is being recorded, so I won't have any trouble going back to find the amendment that Representative Wood has just moved.
Okay. So, but do we have? Is it possible so members of the committee can, be clear on what they are considering? Would Representative Wood be willing to? I don't know if she could put something on her, share something on her screen, or is there some way to make?
Would you like me to reread the amendment?
Certainly, yes, that would be helpful.
The substitute Senate Bill 842 amendment would require that any new or existing plan offered by the comptroller and intended to cover any multi-employer plan, nonprofit employer, or small employer shall be offered on a fully insured basis in compliance with Title 38A of the General Statutes. Additionally, the auditors of public accounts shall audit the books and accounts of the state comptroller and any third-party administrator engaged by the state comptroller, maintained by the partnership plan or plans or the state employee plan, and certify those results to the governor. So it is basically saying, offering all the consumer protections, all the regulation under the Department of Insurance. It will put all of us at ease who are concerned about the state budget being the backstop for this current plan. All of those concerns are satisfied by those two changes to this bill. And this is something that we can be fiscally responsible with. It's something we can be proud of. And I urge my members to vote for these two changes.
So first, with respect to, and I'm sorry, where in the section, where in the bill would that be appended? Would that be appended at the end, or is that where in the bill?
I believe it would be section 2, and the part regarding the auditors can be put in at the end of section 2.
So are they being inserted into separate? Typically with amendments, we have line numbers or we create a new section. I just want to make sure that the members of the committee have an opportunity to understand exactly how this language would work, and I want to make sure that that's clear as well for LCO as they try to look at any proposed amendment. you have a line number where you would like to insert the language with the request?
The fully insured language can be inserted into section 2, the audit language into the beginning of section 2, and that would work. And
I apologize. When you say the beginning of section 2, can you reference a specific line of the bill? Section 2 is several pages long, so I want to make sure I know where in the beginning of section 2.
I would ask the LCO if it's necessary to nitpick where language goes, or if we could just move a vote on the amendment.
I feel like I can't weigh in with respect to that particular issue. A motion to amend the motion that was previously on the floor is before the committee for the membership's consideration. With respect to the changes, I need to look at the document itself and examine the changes before I can make any specific comment with respect to where those changes might appear.
I just think it's very hard. I'm happy to ask questions about the substance amendment. I have a lot of questions about the substance amendment. I think we could go on for some time with some questions about the substance amendment. Before I do that, I think it's only fair to members of the committee to know what the amendment is. And so when you said that the amendment should go into 2 different places in section 2, I'm just trying to get some clarity on where that would be.
The clarity is adding the word fully insured in front of what this plan is. So for example, if we look at section 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines down, you insert fully insured group hospitalization. You insert the word fully insured before any describing of the plan. The audit can go in at the end of section 2, which basically says the auditors of public accounts will perform their audit.
So just
this isn't a complicated change. It is simply designating this plan as fully insured and then adding a section about auditing. So if I'm being confusing to anyone, it's really not that confusing. And again, this puts in the checks and balances that I think many of us have brought up and are, concerned about. So this would ease our, concerns about this adversely affecting our state budget. And it would put in the consumer protections that many of our fully insured, all of the things that we do on the insurance committee will now be applied to this plan. The comptroller doesn't have anything, like he has to apply with the Department of Insurance. He has to adhere to their regulation. He is paying the same assessments and fees that the fully insured plans do. So we are not affecting all of the things that we have come to use and be proud of, like the Office of Healthcare Strategy, the Office of Healthcare Advocate, our insurance department, our Access Health CT. Once we start pulling plans out of the fully insured market into a public option, we threaten the funding that goes to those. So this is how we pass something that is a responsible plan and something that we can be proud of, which is what I heard from some of the comments prior to me. And they are 2 small changes that go extremely far and getting to the point I think that many of us have been asking, during this process.
So I appreciate this statement about the intent of the legislation, and maybe we could shift to that. I still have ongoing concerns about understanding the specific language of the amendment, because it may be clear to the good representative, but it's not clear to me what the specific language changes she's urging are. And I know we've gone back and forth, but I think that is, we're in the process of not just debating ideas, but actually drafting legislation. And so not knowing which line, which words are inserted in front of makes it difficult for the members to understand the purpose. And I'm going to get into some of the practical issues that I sort of identify in doing what I understand she just proposed. So, for example, in the substitute language that is before us, there is a new requirement on line 492 that the comptroller's plan play into the vaccine funds. Now, fully insured plans also have to pay into the vaccine fund. I did not hear Representative Wood with her amendment make any reference to line 492. Does the comptroller's plan have to pay into the vaccine fund twice? Because that's what I would understand her amendment to require.
Oh, let me talk about that. Wait, Mr. Chair, I think she's answered the questions where it would be and has stated the language twice. So I'd like to make a motion to call the question.
So,
Second.
I second that.
Motion to call the question by Representative Pavlak-Damano. Brian, does that takes precedence over other debate?
Will the committee stand at ease for just a few moments, please? I apologize for the delay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So Representative Pavlak-Damato's motion is on the floor. It's been seconded.
So, Brian, just to be clear, is a motion to call the question takes precedence over other motions?
Yes, it does at present. If the motion were to fail, then discussion could continue. In other words, the committee needs to act on the motion to call the question first.
And is it a debatable motion?
Bear with me.
Fine. And if need be, I'll ask for roll call, but I don't think I have to ask for roll call on this. I think it's automatic on this type of
I'm back again. Senator Lesser, I don't believe so. No, I believe the motion needs to be resolved. And then, as I indicated before, if it were to fail, then debate would continue. And it's my understanding that Representative Pavlak D'Amato just called for a roll call vote.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
It's not debatable. We need to vote on it before anything else.
It's not on the, it's a point of order.
Senator Anwar.
Mr. Chair, actually, what was suggested by the LCO was that the debate would continue on if the motion fails. The debate on the amendment cannot continue because the amendment would have failed. So then the conversation would be on the bill. Just clarifying from that perspective. Thank you.
No, we're just voting on whether to call the question. Then we go back to the amendment.
That's correct.
Clerk will.
That would, of course, I'm sorry, Senator Lesser, that would, of course, depend upon the outcome of the vote.
The clerk will please call the roll.
Senator Lesser,
No.
Rep. Wood,
Rep. Wood votes yes.
Senator Anwar,
Senator Anwar votes no.
Representative Comey,
Representative Comey votes no.
I'm sorry,
Representative Comey votes no.
Senator Wong,
Senator Huang votes yes.
Representative Pavlak D'Amato,
Pavlak D'Amato votes yes.
Senator Cabrera,
Senator Cabrera votes no.
Senator Maroney, Representative Dathan,
Representative Dayton votes no.
Senator Maroney,
Senator Maroney votes no.
Representative Del Mickey,
Representative Delnicki votes yes.
Representative Farrar,
Representative Farrar votes no.
Representative Luxembourg,
Luxembourg votes no.
Representative Meskers,
Representative Meskridge votes yes.
Representative Nuccio,
Representative Nuccio votes yes.
Representative Perillo,
Perillo votes yes.
Representative Paletta,
Paletta votes yes.
Representative Riley,
Representative Riley votes yes.
Representative Rochelle,
Representative Rochelle votes no.
Madam Clerk, have all members voted?
yes.
Clerk will please announce the count.
The tally is 9 yay, 9 nay.
The motion fails. I wanted to proceed with debate at this point, but I want to note that one of the traditions of the Connecticut General Assembly, we heard some comments from Senator Wong earlier about respect for minority voices in this assembly, and I took those to heart because one of the traditions of this body, going back as long as I've served, and I believe much further, is one of extending the right of unlimited debate on any issue. If you look around the country, other state legislatures, some dominated by Democrats, others dominated by Republicans, don't have the same tradition we do. They limit debate, they silence minority voices. That has not been something we have ever done as long as I've been in the legislature. We have never, ever once had a motion to call a question that I'm aware of that's been voted on. So the actions of members of this committee today are in stark contrast with the strongest traditions of this General Assembly. And so the question that I would pose to the members of the body, not just the members of this committee, is whether or not we wish to do away with that tradition of unlimited debate. This is an unusual precedent that we've just set here today, one that I wasn't prepared to debate. But I would ask the members of the General Assembly to really think hard about what it is you're seeking to do. Because there are plenty of times at 3 o'clock in the morning, at 4 o'clock in the morning, while I've listened to Republican members express concerns about a bill, I may not share those concerns, but I've fought to make sure that they've had the right to express those concerns. And is that inconvenient for me as a member of the opposing party? It sure is. Does it cause hardship on my family? It sure does. But this is a democratic body where people have a right to express their views. And the traditions of this General Assembly, going back decades, are that we do not shut up members of the General Assembly when they have questions to ask. We do not stop speeches. We do not muzzle members of the legislature. And yet, half of the members of the committee just voted to do that. To be honest, I'm shocked, but I think this may be instructive going forward about how the General Assembly does its business. And I would really urge caution. If this is going to be a new precedent as to which party this is more likely to hurt, I am surprised that members of the minority party would seek to stifle the majority, because that is a unusual development for sure, but also something that the majority party has resisted doing, despite having the opportunity to do that, because it's in the majority. So I'm just very surprised that that motion was made. You have the right to do it under the rules. I'm not disputing that, but it is a disturbing precedent that I think could very well change the dynamic of the General Assembly. That's just me opining as a member. I'm not a member of leadership. I don't have the ability to do anything more than that, other than express my personal surprise and disappointment that was on offer. That being said, I got some questions about the amendment. So I had asked earlier about the vaccine provision. Line of the bill requires the comptroller to assess a surcharge on people buying into the plan for the purpose of purchasing vaccines, that is into the vaccine fund. That is a requirement that is also present on fully insured plans. I did not hear in the General Lady's amendment any suggestion that that second reference remove the second vaccine charge. Is she proposing that there be two surcharges? And if not, is there any language that she would like to offer that would prevent people purchasing coverage to the comptroller having to purchase the childhood vaccines twice?
The simple change of making the plan fully insured would cancel out the assessments that are further on in the JFS language.
So I didn't hear anything about removing, deleting line 668. Is line 668 still in the bill? Sorry,
the simple change of making this a fully insured plan would encompass the assessments. So the assessments don't need to be referenced again in the bill. If they are referenced again, those would be encompassed under the fully insured language.
So line 297 reference creates a managed care report card that is identical to the managed care report card that a fully insured plan would be required to make. I did not hear in the General Lady's amendment anything about repealing line 297. So is the comptroller now directed to provide 2 managed care report cards?
Any additional consumer protections and transparency would be greatly appreciated as part of this plan. The language that I've asked to be inserted on the managed care report card was not the language that ended up being in there. I thought it was very watered down. And if we generate 2 additional transparency components, I would welcome that.
Okay, so there are 2 managed care report cards that would be in the bill. Line 357 of the bill requires that the comptroller's plan pay the equivalent amount of the insurance department assessment to the exchange fund provided under this bill. Is that something that the gentlelady would support be included or repealed in her amendment?
Again, same with the answer that I previously said, the fully insured language would assure that the comptroller is paying the same assessments that the fully insured market pays. So it would not need to be referenced anywhere else in the document. Just that language of changing it to fully insured means that those assessments would be paid for.
So the specific language, though, in section 3 of the bill directs that the assessment levied on the comptroller not go to the Connecticut Insurance Department, but instead go to the Health Insurance Exchange account under section 13. So just understanding how this would work. Would this amendment defund the Connecticut Health Insurance Exchange account under section 13?
The way the bill is currently written, it would, yes, it would defund money going to the Connecticut Healthcare Exchange. The language of adding fully insured in there keeps that same money going to the exchange and the insurance department, the Office of Healthcare Strategy. It means that the comptroller is paying the same assessments that the fully insured market is paid. So we wouldn't have to worry about lack of funding going into those areas.
Yeah, no, I apologize if I was unclear. I wasn't talking about the Health Insurance Exchange. I was talking about the Health Insurance Exchange account, the subsidy fund established under section 13. So the current language in section 3 directs that the assessment levied on the comptroller's plan fund that Health Insurance Exchange account. As I understand it, although the amendment that you propose doesn't explicitly repeal section 3 of the bill, you believe we should repeal section 3 of the bill, but your amendment hasn't said that. Section 3 of the bill would, if repealing section 3 of the bill would defund the Connecticut Health Insurance Exchange account. Is that something you're seeking to do?
It is not something that I'm seeking to do, and I would give preference to LCO when writing this amendment, that we wouldn't be writing language twice, that some of this language would be cleaned up, especially with putting the all-encompassing language of fully insured in there. So I would give precedence to LCO to make sure that we aren't, writing things twice, that just that simple change of fully insured would do.
The chair will sign these. I'd like to call the meeting back to order. Is there discussion? Well, actually, I think I may still have the floor. So what I would just say is I urge members to reject the amendment for a few reasons. One, there already is a audit requirement in the bill. It's been added to the bill and requires external auditors, an independent actuarial firm, and point the members to line 221, as well as the other provisions previously mentioned about managed care report card. I think those are more than adequate. Second, the auditors of public accounts are already auditing the comptroller's office. They already have authority to do that. But the specific type of audit that I think the representative is seeking to do is outside of the capacity of the auditors of public accounts. And the reason I know that is because while we were looking for increased transparency and accountability over this plan with a full mind that we have to protect taxpayer dollars and make sure that we're conducting our constitutional oversight measures, the auditor said that that was beyond their capacity. And that's why the legislation clearly points to an independent actuarial firm for the purpose of reviewing the books. Second, with respect to the fully insured plan, it's my understanding from conversations with the comptroller's office and with outside healthcare experts that would prevent all of the cost savings baked into the bill from going into effect. And moreover, it would be duplicative of existing law since that power is already vested in the comptroller's office under the MEHIP program. So with that, I appreciate the gentlelady's amendment. I believe it was a good faith effort to improve the bill, but I do believe it's duplicative of language already in it and urge members to vote no. Are there other comments or questions? Senator Anwar, I see you have your hand up.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to clarify with the proponent of the Senator Wood, I want to understand the intention of the amendment, if you would mind me asking you this question. Is this in favor of the consumers or is it in favor of the insurance industry?
It is in favor of consumers. It provides much stronger consumer protections, and more importantly, it is in favor of taxpayers in the state of Connecticut. That was extremely important to me to make sure that we aren't passing something forward and then keeping our fingers crossed, hoping that everything works out. I have raised concerns before. I will say it again. The bill as is, I would be very worried about for how our taxpayers deal with this. I think that to my chairman's reference to the audit language is not strong enough. This would be much stronger with the auditor of our public accounts. And I believe that with these two changes in place, we would feel like this is a fiscally responsible approach to a government-sponsored public option. And again, I urge support for it. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Senator Anwar, Senator Anwar, if I could, your question was a little bit close to the, we have a tradition about not calling into question the motives of other legislators. And I just want to make sure that, while we may disagree about the merits of it, that we don't question individual members' motives, assume that all members are acting.
Yep. I agree with you. Thank you, Senator Lesser. I just wanted to mention from my perspective, I can share with you that a similar process had happened in Washington State, and that actually harmed the consumers quite a bit. And that was part of the challenge. And they are actually looking at the language that we have to make sure that the consumers benefit from it. So again, when I see this amendment, I look at it as a poison pill for this bill, and I'm going to vote against this amendment, and I would urge my colleagues to consider the same as well. Again, this is for this bill. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator. Representative Messers.
Yes, I want to beg the indulgence of the chairs. None of these votes are easy. you know, we are, I've said it in the public meetings, we have the public thing listening in today. There are four actors that sitting at the table with us. It's the pharmaceutical companies, it's the pharmacy benefit managers, it's the insurance companies, and the hospitals. And we are the legislators. All of them have testified to us when we talked about either taxes or regulation. And I feel like I'm getting the misdirection from everyone. It's not me, it's the other guy. The governor's bill that we're facing that is not under discussion now is one that attempts to crack part of that nut on the pharmacies with the taxation bill. Our comptroller Lembo has done an incredibly hard and challenging job to try to deliver a product to us to reduce healthcare costs. My constituents are screaming about healthcare costs. They're screaming because the deductibles are at $5,000 and $10,000, and the payments are the monthly payments are going through the roof. I think we're at the cusp of working on a process. I would prefer to see a better audited process on the municipal plan that I, as an RTM member in my town, we're paying into the municipal plan. I want to see a better audit of the plan, not because I doubt the plan, but because if the plan is implementing policies that are reducing costs, I think a public view on that to force the insurance industry, the hospital industry to adopt those practices across their private and public options is important as well. I fully back the idea of an audit by a third party to make sure, which is the same reason I backed the stop loss on the insurance, to make sure that a plan we underwrite or that the comptroller underwrites, it doesn't fall back upon the rest of the residents of the state. I take with concern the Teamsters Union's letter about their concern about what we're doing to the private sector market as well. So I think leveling the playing field and giving us a product, you know, this is a work in progress across 50 states that have not solved the insurance issue. I've heard the governor's plan, I've heard Lembo's plan. I expect we'll be listening to the plan coming from the Senate Republicans. I am in favor of dealing forward on a public option, but I think the controls are imperative. I'm looking to see that we do something that protects both those who purchase the insurance policies and the taxpayers and the other private sector purchasers to make sure that we're not doing harm when we go forward. I'm hoping that these amendments help achieve that objective, and that's why I seconded it. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Nuccio.
Thank you. I just wanted to go a little back and forth with you, Chairman, if it's okay, regarding the audit process. I'm supportive of this being added, the language that Chair Wood put in place, because in this language, it specifically says that you have to have an independent actuarial firm. I'm not intoning that there would be any misdeed or anything, but that means a secretary could go and say that this is a validated plan. Without having language in here that it's an actual certified actuarial that is certifying this plan, then the audit language that's in here is just simply not strong enough. There's a lot of language out there that we can use to make sure that it's a fully audited process and it's verified by a certified actuarial. And I would encourage, at the very least, that language.
Thank you, Representative. Other comments, questions from members of the committee? Seeing none, I'm sorry. Representative Masters, do you have your hand up like second time? No. Okay. See if there are no other comments, the clerk will please call the roll.
Senator Lesser.
No. Senator Lesser, no.
Representative Wood.
Representative Wood, yes.
Senator Anwar.
Senator Anwar votes no.
Representative Comey.
Representative Comey votes no.
Senator Wong.
Senator Huang votes yes.
Representative Pavlik Demadio,
Pavlik Damato votes yes.
Senator Cabrera,
Senator Cabrera votes no.
Senator Maroney,
Senator Maroney votes yes.
Rep. Dathan,
Rep. Dathan votes no.
Representative Del Mickey,
Representative Del Nicky votes yes.
Representative Farrar,
Representative Farrar votes no.
Representative Luxembourg,
Representative Luxembourg votes no.
Representative Meskers,
Representative Meskers votes yes.
Representative Nuccio,
Sorry, Representative Nuccio votes yes.
thank you. Representative Perillo,
Perillo votes yes.
Representative Paletta,
Paletta votes yes.
Representative Riley,
Representative Riley votes yes.
Representative Rochelle.
Representative Rochelle votes no.
And the final tally is 10 yay, 8 nay.
So, question to LCO.
Yes.
Do you have, based on that amendment, do you have the information that you need to draft an amendment?
I'll need to go back and review today's meeting and frankly, that's what I'll need to do. I'll just need to go back and review the discussion in order to draft the amendment. So in other words, I will, I just don't at the moment.
Okay, the clerk will send these. Committee, I mean. I'd like to call the meeting of the Insurance and Real Estate Committee back to order. At this time, I would like to recess the committee meeting and call to order the public hearing of the Insurance and Real Estate Committee. I would like to then recess the public hearing
Okay,
of the Insurance and Real Estate Committee.
we need to call the public hearing to order on the public hearing link.
We were advised that there's some technical difficulties that make that difficult. Is that?
Yes, but there are people waiting for that link.
Okay.
So I'm unclear how that works. I mean, maybe because it's live, it should cover it.
What's that?
Maybe because it's all live, it should cover it. And it's live on your link.
Obviously, it's our intention to take up the public hearing as quickly as possible, whether on this link or that link. I will defer to LCO for the clerk on that question.
That seems like more of a practical issue as opposed to a rules issue.
So I think we are trying to gavel in the public hearing for the purpose of complying with the rules and understand that there's some practical technical issues that still need to be sorted out.
It does say the host is in another meeting. I tried to get in, so that could probably be the issue that Diane has this meeting going on.
So, you know, I understand the rules allow a certain amount of flexibility to address technical difficulties in this new Zoom public hearing age. So what I would request is, so we've called the public hearing to order. We are going to recess it for a certain amount of time, say until 1, we may have to extend it. But hope to get the folks ready to testify in front of us as soon as we can, as soon as we resolve the technical difficulties, and then sort out the committee meeting. And with that, I will recess the public hearing.
The committee meeting, your recess.
No, the committee meeting is already recessed. So I will recess the public hearing, and we will intend to take the committee meeting back up shortly. Okay, at this time, I would like to call the committee meeting back to order. I will first note for the record that the amendment passes. Chair, is there any further discussion on the bill as amended? Is there any further discussion on the bill as amended? Yes, Representative Havelock D'Amato.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to thank everybody for their patience during this morning and this bill, but I would like a chance to respond to the good chair's comments earlier about limiting debate before I just briefly address the underlying bill. I know the good chair, and I respect his opinion, but mentioned the motion potentially the motion limiting the debate, and I question that and have concerns because I received a 58-page bill just minutes before this hearing, this committee meeting, and without sufficient time to read it, without sufficient time to really caucus with my members and effectively debate the change language, therefore limiting my ability as the minority party to debate the bill. Second, we set this public hearing 3 hours after a committee meeting, a 3-hour committee meeting, where we're voting on a bill that will, first of all, the biggest committee bill, but also one that will have the largest fiscal impact on our constituents. And the 3 hours to debate that bill with a public hearing, you're not only limiting our debate, but you're also limiting potentially the public hearing. And if my last point on this is, as I recall, Senator Austin voted to call the question just a couple of sessions ago, 3 times actually in another committee. So it's not the first time that it's been done. And again, you know, we have other procedures such as getting any substitute language ahead of time so that way we can adequately, again, go through it and have meaningful debate on the language. And that clearly wasn't done here. So otherwise, you know, as far as the underlying bill, you know, there are still concerns with the underlying bill. I do appreciate the amendment, the language of the amendment. But again, there's a lot to be worked on here. Again, we have a public hearing that we're now going to be conducting. And on top of that, we also have language and law coming down from the federal level that we still really don't have the full language of and the impact of those laws. So with that, I do urge my colleagues not to support the underlying bill. But again, I want to thank everybody for their patience this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Senator Wong.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I do want to echo the concerns that were raised by Representative Havelock D'Amato. And I'll just simply say this, and I'll use the words of the chair. This is the biggest single bill before us in the Insurance and Real Estate Committee. The fact that we are rushing through and not giving it due respect and due deliberation and looking to get the best of ideas that I said earlier is, again, one of the biggest challenges I have with this proposed bill. And I've said it, there are 3 bills out there: the governor's bill, the Republican bill, and Controller Limbo and the Democrats' bill. Could we, through all 3 of them, look to collaborate and have the best solution? I believe so, because we have the common goal of reducing cost. We had great public interaction and voices being heard in Senate Bill 842, literally almost 3 weeks ago. And then we had the public hearing on Tuesday of the governor's bill. And to schedule a committee vote on the single biggest bill in front of this committee and simply say 3 hours is enough is shortchanging the process. This entire dilemma and fiasco of dual meeting conflicting is by the own making of the schedulers of these meetings. The fact that we are not able to fully hear the people that are anxiously waiting to offer a different viewpoint is democracy and public representation slightly delayed, but I'm hopefully not denied. But we're going to vote on something that needs work. And I said it before, I'm disappointed that we should take pride as a committee, that we should put forth the best bill with our name on it and said, this is a bill coming out of the Committee of Cognizance who has done the very, very best work that they can, that we can all stand on a bipartisan basis behind the bill. But unfortunately, it seems to be such a rush. And if there's anything symbolic of the whole process, today's public hearing reflects that. It is a bad day for representative and efficient government in which all voices are being heard. And I truly hope that our colleagues will vote this down and look to create and work together to get a better bill. Because for us to send forth this bill in its incompleteness and its flawed process is a mark on all of us in regards to our vote being reflected in saying, it's a bad bill, but I love the idea, let's get it through. That's not good lawmaking. Too many people depend on us to do the right thing. So I will hopefully do the right thing and vote no on this bill, but with the open mind that if we could all work together in a good faith effort, as was said earlier, that we can craft the best bill possible. And I want to thank the supporters of the amendment, because it shows that we are trying to make an effort in a bipartisan basis to crafting a bill that represents all the viewpoints and all the shareholders. This is not a party line decision making. It should never be. Healthcare and the respect for people that need it has no party line. So I hope that people will vote with their minds and their heart and say no to this, because it's a work that needs to be done more in our committee. So I thank you for the chair, and I'm eager to have the public hearing to get more feedback to see how we can make this bill better, because we all agree, Republicans, Democrats, and the governor's office are all looking to contain healthcare costs. Why can't we work it together instead of one side having all the ideas? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator. And I think the fact that we're going to immediately, following this vote, proceed to a hearing on some Republican healthcare ideas, I hope should be taken as a sign that we want to have that discussion, and appreciate your kind words about working together on this issue. Obviously, are there other members? No, I don't see other members with their hands up. I will just say, obviously, speaking on a personal basis, I am disappointed that the amendment passed. I have concerns about it on a policy, on a procedural matter, and I'm happy to air those out with members of the legislature as we go forward, because I have some serious workability questions. That being said, the bill before us is a good faith effort to tackle the price of health insurance in Connecticut, to expand coverage, to provide relief to small businesses. And as a result, I would urge members right now to vote in support of the bill as amended. If there is no other discussion, will the clerk will please call the roll.
Senator Lesser,
Yes.
Representative Wood,
Wood, yes.
Senator Anwar,
Senator Anwar votes yes.
Representative Comey, please unmute yourself. Representative Comey,
Representative Comey votes yes.
thank you. Senator Wong,
Senator Tony Huang votes no.
Representative Pavlik Damadio,
Pavlik Damadio votes no.
Senator Cabrera,
Senator Cabrera votes yes.
Senator Maroney,
Senator Maroney votes yes.
Representative Dathan,
Representative Dathan votes yes.
Representative Delnicki,
Representative Delnicki votes no.
Representative Farrar,
Representative Farrar votes yes.
Representative Luxembourg,
Representative Luxembourg votes yes.
Representative Meskers,
Representative Meskers votes yes.
Representative Nuccio,
Representative Nuccio votes no.
Representative Perillo,
Perillo votes no.
Representative Poletta,
Poletta votes no.
Representative Riley,
Representative Riley votes yes.
Representative Rochelle.
Representative Rochelle votes yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The clerk will please announce the tally.
Twelve yay, 6 nay.
The bill as amended passes, or the motion is amended passes. With that, I'd like to recess the committee meeting and call to order the public hearing.
Point of information, Mr. Chair, are you anticipating we're going to reopen the meeting or just going to hold it up open for, are you holding the meeting open? I guess I'm confused here.
That is an excellent question, Representative Meskers. I think that discussion is one that needs to be had, but I don't think that has happened yet. So I think we're going to circle around and have that conversation.
Post the public hearing.
Post, during, whenever.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And I guess the question I have for the committee clerk, if she's available, do we do that on this connection, or do we, what's the procedure for members?
Well, the procedure is I can't have 2 links open at one time. So the minute I get off of this to try to open the webinar, I can eventually possibly get back and have a committee meeting. But right now, technology looks like it may not be able to happen.
We will find a way, even if it's using the public hearing link, to, if we need, if we decide to reconvene the committee meeting, we will be able to do that one way or the other. Is that you?
Okay, it's
I
just
have
that
faith.
you're
You
gonna
have
have,
faith?
you're just gonna have to give me some ample time to get out of here and try to get back into the webinar. So please be patient with me.
So
I
we will
appreciate
all, so the members of the committee will log off the committee meeting. They will join the public hearing link that they should all have access to. And we will see folks there at 1 o'clock, which is when we announced the public hearing would start. Is that everyone's understanding?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry, so the public hearing's not officially starting until 1 o'clock now?
Yes, we had announced earlier that we were delaying the start of the public hearing until 1 o'clock.
Okay, so get off of this one, get on the public hearing for 1 o'clock.
Right. And Representative Nuccio, just give me some ample time to be able to close out of here and then to get the webinar up and running.
You got
So I
25
think-
minutes. You're good.
Thank you.
All right, Diane, close the YouTube live link and stop